We are talking today with my colleague, Thad Keener, and I'm going to ask Ms. Keener to please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your journey in education.
Sure. My name is Thad Keener. I'm the principal at Arctic Light. It's a K-8 school on Fort Wainwright. So we're the only school on Fort Wainwright, and it is Army. And so the Army is a diverse group of people, and their students are diverse. We have probably 10% of our students are English language learners, and many of our students come from many different cultures, from Africa, from Asia, from the Caribbean. So we have a diverse group of people in the Army, and their children, come from deployments in other parts of the world. So we appreciate the multiculturalism that we have here too.
Thank you.
Kids come here for, right. I can keep talking if you don't mind, or.
Well, you answered my next question about your ELL population and the makeup of those students. So let me ask you a question. When you get these ELL students, you can have them in the middle of the school year, in the beginning of the school year. Do your teachers have any support from the district's ELL program when they get these students?
We're public school, and public school, we take all students. And imagine being a teacher with 24, 25 students, and then a limited English speaker comes into your classroom with a limited English speaking family. And that's not unheard of. And as a teacher, you can only do so much with Google Translate. And you really do need to turn to someone and go, hey, what kind of supports are there? And it's really impressive what we can do for a teacher and for the student and for the families to make sure that it's a positive learning experience. From translators that can sit with the student and help guide them through their lessons. It's also important that someone like the ELL coach and the ELL teachers can guide the regular classroom teacher to use best practices with these students. So, if you come in with limited English, and many times, most of our students, they might speak fine. It's just that speaking is only one aspect of being a fully developed student. You got to be able to write it. That it is very difficult compared to just being able to speak the English. And so some teachers are a little confused by this. And so that's where the ELL teacher will come in and help pull the student aside and guide them. But then the ELL coach can sit down with the teacher and help the classroom teacher and really build a program that works the student towards success. And here at our school, success is very important to our overall school standing and school success. So I know our parents are very attuned to, they look our school up on the website, see our rankings, see how they score, because parents are only here for a few years, and then they're off to Texas and off to North Carolina and New York and Washington State and Colorado, and they want to make sure that the education their kids receiving for 3 years is a valuable education. So they'll look us up and they'll see that, wow, we're a strong school. And a lot of that comes from when you break down the school rankings and how we get scores in the state of Alaska, our ELL success adds towards our overall school standing. And if you were to not have that, our school would be an average school. But to get above average for us, we're definitely, our ELL students are not only just doing well in their classroom, they're succeeding.
Thank you. Well, you bring up an excellent point. Is there some statistics you could share with us?
Can you be a little bit loud? I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Is there some statistics you could share with us? That's an excellent point.
Let me share with you. Sure, I can share this. This is the screenshot of our state score. So you can get on the Alaska Department of Education and Early Development and do a school search. And when you look at our school, we are doing fine. And our score is a 59.5, which is a very solid score. And you can break it down into many different ways, but you can see that when you get down to the English language learners, that they are meeting their growth targets, which is super important for our students, is that their time at our school is nearly 70%. And we just keep wanting to see that rise, rise, rise every year, that 70% are meeting or exceeding their growth targets. And they are
Mhm.
assessed through the access test.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really important and visual and really drives the point home of the
Mhm.
successes that Articulate experienced working with your ELO population. Thank you. Being
Mhm.
at school, I really noticed that the whole school culture is such that the teachers cannot help but talking to each other. There is a lot of collaboration, and it's very hard to stay out of that school-wide conversation for any teacher. And we, of course, can say that it's just our culture, but every responsible adult understands culture does not just happen. So uh,
Mhm.
we have to acknowledge the leadership's role in creating that kind of supportive environment for your teachers to be able to feel supported and feel the direction and enjoy the support and the cultural support that they receive and instructional support that they receive. So another question I have for you is you mentioned um, on how ELL students are accepted and their families are accepted. Is there any work that is going on at school building equity for
Mhm.
instruction for your ELL students?
Yeah, equity is not equality, and that's, we can give everyone the same book, and that's equal. Here's your math book. But what I need and what someone else needs are they're two different things. And the goal is that we're all successfully growing and becoming, and we want productive citizens in our country. And you really have to start at a very basic level of this school supports me. I feel supported, and I know that I can give my energy to this school and this staff, and I will then be successful.
Mm-hmm,
And there's a lot to say about our supportive environment, the ELL teacher, the ELL coaching that we have, the classroom teachers. This is all important that um, the kids feel welcome and accepted, and that they feel that the school reflects their culture. These are huge things to then the kid will start to open up. And we find that in in our school we have many siblings,
oh,
and so it's not just one teacher with a student that might have an ELL,
mm-hmm,
student,
mm-hmm,
but there's then the different teachers and the need to communicate. That maybe it's the younger student that speaks English better that then is helping
mm-hmm,
the older student, or flip flop.
mm-hmm,
But we've got to have an accepting, safe culture that reflects the students, and then it has to pan out. The kid has to feel like they're learning.
mm-hmm,
And for me, it is wonderful to see very diverse group of people being successful in our building, because it creates a really solid core in our school community of success. And I mean, from my position, yay, because that the ELL population, this is just another thing that I've experienced, is that the ELL population is a very positive. They are in one sense very wise on how to engage the educational system. And I know everyone is, working it and figuring out and finding out how best to use this public, utility in a sense, free
right.
public education. But I really do appreciate that our coaching and our tutors and our classroom teachers are really providing a successful experience reflecting everyone's culture so they feel accepted. And this part of our larger community is just solid, successful group.
Thank you.
I like
Thank you.
that a lot.
I couldn't agree more with you. I remember at the beginning of the school year, we had a session, equity building session for ELLs, ELL awareness session that you graciously gave us time during the staff meeting um, for me to do a quick presentation for your teachers. Do you think that was impactful and helpful for your staff and teachers?
It of course, yes. Thank you. No, we have to have moments as educators that we kind of stand back and almost put ourselves into the student role. I mean, that is just, we should all be lifelong learners, and there's nothing like trying to learn something like a new language that really humbles an educator. So yes, this is very important, and to understand that this has kind of been going on a long time. The idea that humans learn a new language, it's okay. We have some data on this. We have some best practices, and so it's not a mystery. It's not something to be scared of. But if you follow best practices, you will see more success. And we all know when students aren't being successful, we know what that looks like, and that's not
Right.
anything we want for anybody.
Right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it with us and to open up this interview to a wider public of not only
Of course.
Tabora
Yeah.
School District, but other
Thank you.
people.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
taking the
much.
time.
Thank you for your support and for your hard work on behalf of our ALL population. Thank you, Mr. Keener.
Thank you. Bye.
So, Mr. Keener, what else would you like to add to our interview?
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about coaching. So, there's several layers to the ELL program. Not only do we have translators that can help a student in a classroom, we have an ELL, essential teacher in the school that can help the students and, the teacher. But we have an ELL coach, which is, it's a gift to have this, because what a coach does is they understand the best practices, and they understand that classrooms are a dynamic community, and they're able to just kind of come in a short amount of time, find successes, keep doing these, and areas that could just use a little bit of adjustment that can make the learning experience for the ELL student a far more fruitful experience. And that is super key. We, as educators, we get into the habit of just closing our doors, and we miss out on the collaborative growth that we could have for ourselves and then for the students. And without the coaching, we're not going to get to that next level of our profession. So it's a key part of this whole program.
Thank you for bringing it up. This is really important. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.